you this fine morning?
Oh, doing pretty good, pretty
Now,
good.
Dan, do you like to be called Daniel or just Dan?
Uh, Dan is fine. Dan is great. It's shorter, easier. I usually write Daniel for some reason. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Dan is absolutely fine. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
great.
and I know you prefer Jefferson T, right?
Indeed. Yep. Yep.
Okay. Um, well, all right, but now to get to the important stuff. So, have you been to the new Starbucks in your area yet?
No, I haven't, but I've driven by several times.
All right. Well, yeah.
It looks good. It's not as big as I thought it was going to be,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it looks good.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's close by, right? So that.
I'd like to go soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. In fact,
Right.
I was almost going to be there, until I remembered that we had this broadcast. I was gonna take off and go get myself a Starbucks coffee there, but then I realized, oh no, I got to do my broadcast.
Right on.
So, yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get rid of that splash screen and. All right. Here we go.
Yeah. Awesome. It is a beautiful day today, too, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, it's getting to the point though. I mean, yeah, but early morning is still quite chilly, and as it gets dark at night, it cools off quite a bit. But the daytime temperatures are quite comfortable. Jackets are not needed. You can even get by with short sleeves if you're a hardy type.
That's
Hello,
right.
Abyss from Nashville. Yes, hello. Yeah, Abyss was just on my Friendly Feud game. Yeah, came in third place today, actually. Yeah.
Really great. Great. I
Yeah,
wish I could have joined. I was a bit busy this morning.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I came in early, did an hours worth of work before I started my game. And after our broadcast here, I'll probably have to start working again. No time for Starbucks yet.
Yes, I know, right?
Yeah,
Classes, the beginning of classes is looming.
yeah, it is. It is. It's coming up very soon. Let's see. Can I do that? Oh, maybe I can. All right, and copy that. Cancel. All right, there we go. Okay, so yeah, why don't we jump right in and get started here? Oh, by the Stream Elements moment, the Vantage Pen is now live. Oh yeah, um, something about that Stream Elements is some kind of uh, sounds like a great topic to be had. Can I join? Yes, you can. This I will invite you. I will invite you right now. Invite the user. There we go. Okay, you are invited, I guess. Yeah. That Stream Elements, it's some service or something like that. I think that it's free and it allows you to set up different things for broadcasts like alerts and things like that. But I'm still learning about it. Don't really need it because HAPS has everything built in, but I was going to play around with it a little bit anyway. Anyway, that's
Sure, why not?
yeah, why not?
Sounds great.
Yeah. Okay, so
That was streaming elements, you said?
uh, stream. What was it? Stream Elements. Yeah, Stream Elements. Um, yeah, it's something, and yeah, you can. Uh, it's kind of like what was that other one? StreamYard, not StreamYard. Streamlabs. Streamlabs is another one. Streamlabs and Stream Elements are both kind of similar services there that
Okay.
I've been looking at. Although I heard about Streamlabs first, but Stream Elements I kind of like. It looks interesting, so I've been playing around with it to see what I can learn.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yeah, our first question today: what percentage of your life do you feel truly alive?
Mm.
When do
Good
you feel that
question.
way?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you feel truly alive?
I do. I love to do things that make me feel alive, and I've discovered a lot of things that make me feel alive. For one thing, is traveling to a brand new country.
Mm.
Right, to that I've never been to before, and just getting on the plane in anticipation and getting off the plane in anticipation and finding new culture, new food, new people. It's
Hmm.
just a wonderful experience for
Right.
me. That I feel truly alive, actually, when I have that kind of experience. Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we haven't been able to travel in the past year or so, right? And
Right.
so I still try to do that and to try to have that sense doing day trips here in Japan, in Kumamoto, right?
Hmm.
To a particular place perhaps I've never been before, right? And to try some new kind of food or try something new
Hmm.
is when I feel truly alive, right? Mm. Also, another thing is uh, riding motorcycles. So I
Mm.
try to do things that make me feel alive. Yeah, riding a motorcycle is just a wonderful way to feel alive. You can feel the wind coming through you. There's no windshield in front of you. Feel the wind coming through, right? And you're riding. It's just you and the road, right? And it makes me really feel alive too. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
I was gonna ride my motorcycle today, but I had too many things to bring. But
Ah.
yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah. How about you?
Me, I tell you what makes me feel alive is every once in a while the aches and pains of getting older. It's like, oh my God, I can tell I'm alive because I hurt in places that I never hurt before.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess the implication here is what percentage of your life do you feel truly alive? I mean, I guess that's kind of the implication there is the joyous things that make you feel like you're living a good and filling type of life, I guess. And
Yeah, I didn't really focus on that
yeah,
in
to
my
me,
answer.
what truly 100%, 100.
Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, it because again, from a philosophical standpoint, I guess, I mean, the alternative is non-existence. Is what I believe anyway. It's either alive or nothing. And so, since I feel something, okay. Oh, JB, thank you very much, JB. Your resonance. Okay, cool. Just subscribe.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah, so with the alternative being oblivion or nothingness, the lack of
Right.
sensation, the cessation of sensation. Yeah, then everything makes me feel alive.
Absolutely.
From that kind of
That's
philosophical standpoint, I guess.
Yep. Indeed. Indeed. So, what percentage would you say? 100%. And me too.
Malmo, 100%. Yeah, 100%. JB, your Renaissance from Malmo, Malmö,
Loma, isn't it? Yeah.
Malmö,
Great.
an umlauted O at the end there. Okay.
Mm. Sweden. Oh, great.
All right, cool. Wow. How international can we get here, right?
That's right. We're
Yes.
just talking about traveling to new countries.
Yes.
I've never been to Sweden, so that's one I would love to visit eventually.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's high on my bucket list. Yeah, going to Sweden. Yeah.
So, aside from the philosophical question, Dan,
Hmm.
what really makes you, feel like alive? Yeah, like
Every
I
time
mean,
I
for
walk
me,
into the classroom.
I mean, other than that, right? I know. Other than that, something in your life that you do, or something experience that you purposely go through to have an experience to kind of get out of your comfort zone or to reach another level of experience, right? Experiential things.
Well, I mean, yeah, I travel. I mean, I guess that's.
Hello. ちょっと待って, Dan, I've got a guest here.
I'm gonna mute you. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, for me, yeah, travel is that thing that kind of jogs my existence to a certain extent, and that's a major reason, a major part of why I ended up in Japan. pushing myself out of my comfort zone. You know, I could have stayed in the States and got a job teaching English to. In fact, I did for a while when I was still in graduate school. I was teaching English to students that were coming to universities in the United States. I was teaching them English, and that's how I got some practice before I came to Japan. But that experience also was, meeting new people. So for me, more than the traveling, because for me, the place is less important than the people. And so when I was, one of the things that I loved about being at university, at undergraduate level, graduate level, or teaching, is the exposure to really interesting people that I could get, and without having to travel all over the world. People from all over the world were traveling to these various universities. I did my graduate work at the University of Iowa. I did some undergraduate work there also, but my graduate degree was from the University of Iowa, and the Iowa Writers Workshop. People that are into writing probably have heard of that. It's a well-established, well-known writing program, and so people from all over the world, as well as the science program there. Van Allen Hall, the Van Allen radiation belts. The hall is named after the Van Allen who discovered the radiation belts. It has a good science program. I mean, lots of things that bring people from all over the world to the University of Iowa, where I was. And so just being there, and like I said, more than the place, it's the people that you meet. And so that's what I love about traveling, is meeting the new people that I wouldn't normally have the chance to. But it's also one of the things that I think people miss out on in their own communities, because I'm sure that every community in the world has amazing individuals that are remaining relatively unknown. We're not finding them. I mean, hopefully the internet, and especially this kind of things, these kind of platforms like HAPS and social media and so on, other social media, are going to allow us to get to know some of these people that are, that are relatively unknown. Get them out there a little bit more, because it's the people that fascinate me. Let's see. So JB asks, I recently came in. May I ask what you are teaching? What topic? So I'm an English teacher. I am from the United States, from the state of Iowa, small town Iowa, very rural. If you don't know about Iowa, it's a very rural community. That's where I was born and raised, and went to university and graduate school all in Iowa. And then I made the big jump to Japan, and I have been for the last 32, this is my 34th year. Anyway, for years now, I've been teaching English here in Japan. All kinds of English, a lot of oral type classes, listening, speaking type classes, but I do reading and writing and so on, conversation classes, all kinds of different things. But yeah, that's what I've been doing for a long time. I'm about ready to retire. Retirement here is early, 62. Hola, I am
Nice.
Hello, Coco. Welcome.
Hi, Coco. Hola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if
Can you guys hear
it's
me?
interesting. Yeah, me too. I do the same thing as Dan. I just had an emergency situation with a student, actually, just now. That's why I had to disappear for a couple of minutes. She's actually a sophomore. Last year she was a freshman, but couldn't come to school because of Corona. So she wanted to know which classes she needed to register for.
Okay.
So these are the things we have to do too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Can you guys hear me?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
a bit.
Welcome. Please, I'd like to hear your comment.
Yes. So I Yeah, it's kind of nebulous trying to
Thank you,
define
Coco.
um whether a certain individual has lived or not, and what percentage of that would be accounted towards them considering that being alive. I mean, it's I see it sort of like a highly subjective questioning there, but in general, I think like if you try to maximize your pleasure, I think that's going to be a discussion for later. But if you're trying to maximize your pleasure in a way, and if you try to give yourself a sense of meaning in your life, I think that's life worth living. But also, like, I mean, if you're trying to address the fact that you're basically alive, as in in a biological state, you're always alive until you're not. But that begs the question, like, would your life be fulfilled, or would you consider that to be a fulfilling life? That's also another facet that needs to be considered, because I mean, we're basically like in a sort of like an accrued version of different experiences that we've encountered in our lives. And from that perspective, I see that um but the different kinds of conditions, where different kinds of occurrences in our lives kind of sculpt our behavior, and whether we define certain things as alive or not. Like, for example, if you consider like the first person that you ever loved, that it makes you feel alive, that it makes you think, or makes you wonder that you haven't, or makes you consider that you haven't lived a life before that you met that person. So in these kind of retrospect, I mean, inspections, or at least like uh, looking back at things, that kind of gives you a sense of agency in in a way that you try to, um, or at least like the experiences that you encounter would constantly sculpt, or at least like change your definition of being alive. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Hmm, great.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It seems to me when I read these philosophical questions, of course, my initial reaction is from my own narrow personal perspective, but then I often try to step back and think about, okay, the human population on this planet as a whole. And so the idea of traveling and and doing these things that require a certain level of resources that aren't available to the majority of the population of this planet, simply the fact that they don't have the resources to do those things doesn't mean that they haven't lived a good and fulfilling life. So I think what for any person, yeah, the person, the true love that they have found and so on, right? And that even if you've never gone beyond your own village, you could find the person that's right for you, and you could live a good and fruitful and fulfilled life just from that. Excuse me, I got a phone call.
Yeah, that's right. I think you can consider, and again, it's you can consider the philosophical viewpoint, right? And you can consider the physical viewpoint, right? If you have a heartbeat and some mental processes, you're alive, right? And what percentage is that? As Dan said earlier, 100%, sure. But then you have to consider how do you feel alive in that respect. And Abyss, how about you? Do you do things that get you out of your comfort zone? Do you?
Uh, yeah, I think like I take pleasure in a most tacit kind of um occurrences of life. In fact, like that's something I had to reconcile with the fact that there was we had to endure the lockdown
Yeah.
since last year. So I I try to take pleasure in small things, and I really want to kick myself like into the out of my comfort zone. And um yeah, I mean, like uh, there's this part of me that actually calculates the risk of doing that, so I cannot completely dissociate myself from making impulsive decisions. But um I see that to be some kind of having like some kind of exhilarating effect,
Hmm.
for at least like the sensation that you're alive. in that moment.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's kind of what I was getting at with my former answer. Traveling to countries you've never been to, riding motorcycles and such. Yes, and people do these things every day, climb mountains or and such, to have this kind of experience, to feel outside of yourself and to feel extended, as it were. Yeah, I think it's a fascinating viewpoint. It's really interesting to kind of be vigorous and to try to look beyond the normal, right, physical day-to-day life. I think, yes. I think it's a fascinating viewpoint. Shall we go on to the next question? Do you have the questions, Abyss?
So
the next question is, how can you? It's kind of connected to the how do you feel truly alive? When do you feel that way? And how can you feel that way more often? Is kind of an extension. When do you feel most alive, would you say?
I guess like trying something for the very first time is something which cannot be replicated, or at least like the feeling of exhilaration from that experience is something that cannot be replicated. But people do that more often, and I don't know, like you've seen adrenaline junkies for example, skydiving or
Yeah.
base jumping.
Right.
That's it in a pure pursuit of exhilaration and the thrill of the thrill of feeling alive. So um I guess like it depends on your experiences. Like if you choose some kind of assortment of experiences that would give you um like that thrill, like I just mentioned, and if you try to do them like more frequently, I guess like you will become inured to the experience. So the best way to circumvent that will be to try a new experience every time. So that all depends on like whether you can afford doing that, because some of these leisurely activities are usually expensive to do. But um, even if you don't want to expend anything, I guess like you may have to be creative as to how to overcome boredom, because like I said, once your first experience will be like it's probably going to be the most exhilarating, and afterwards like you may need like a very extenuating circumstance to replicate or even exceed that first thrill that you had when you try something that makes you alive. But that's my opinion.
Right. No. I think you're spot on there. I mean, the very first time you try something, it could be over exhilarating or super exhilarating, and then trying to replicate it is difficult. Sure. That's what motorcycle riding does for me. I mean, every time I go out, I try to challenge myself, go to a different road, or go on a very steep hill, or go near the water and things like that. I was just watching a documentary by the free climber. What was his name? Oh gosh, I forget his name. He climbs freely. Oh, what was his? Alex
Oh, is that the
Honnold, is
guy
it?
that
Alex
is that the guy
Honnold.
that scales buildings without any equipment?
Well, buildings, but also cliffs and mountains and whatnot without. You're right, without any equipment. Yeah, Alex Honnold it is. Yeah. And he's done many free climbing, has many free climbing experiences, and he has a documentary out. I forget what it's called, but it's amazing. Yeah, because he gets in this zone, right, where he just continues to climb and doesn't really worry about it, but continues to go without any equipment, without any ropes, without any safety gear. And he's just addicted, I'm sure, to that kind of adrenaline, right? That you really can't get many places, yeah, and through many experiences.
I was just going to mention quickly, I sent invites to both JB and Coco. If they'd like to come up, they're more than welcome to. If not, of course, that's fine to continue to be our audience. But if you'd like to join in the conversation on microphone, as Abyss has, or on camera, you're welcome to join. Okay.
Please do. The more, the merrier. We can have a really good conversation going. So, Dan, we were talking about the extension to that question. When do you feel that way, and how can you feel that way more often?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. When do you feel that way? How can you feel that way more often? Like I don't think I could feel that way more often. I mean, like I said, I feel alive 100% of the time, and it doesn't take some. For me, it doesn't require some huge emotional kick in order to feel alive. It doesn't require some adrenaline to make me feel alive. I feel alive and appreciative, all the time. And it really I mean, it's interesting, and I'm not I'm not trying to be or even implying any kind of criticism at all, but it amazes me, people that do these these thrill seeking, these adrenaline pumping activities like skydiving, bungee jumping, things where there's risk involved. They have this desire, or is it a need in order to do these things in order to really feel alive? I guess some people, but that's not me. I don't require that. I am so happy just to be alive and feeling like a productive part of a community, to feel a part, in some ways at least a slightly valued part of society. That's the only thing that I need in order to make me feel that I'm alive.
I get that from you, Dan, knowing you. You're mellow, you're very even keeled. Just you go on every day, right, in a very jovial fashion and very accepting fashion. So yeah, I get that. Get that from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So have we finished that topic? Shall we go on to the next question? What do you think? More comments? Oh, wait. Oh, sorry, I missed the last comment. Thanks so much for the invite. Appreciate it, but need to get a few hours sleep. Oh, 4:30 in the morning. Okay, JB.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks for the invitation. I barely speak English, so I understand you perfectly. Okay, well, great. I mean, Coco, I mean, that's fine. If you want to maintain your place in the audience, that's fine. But if you'd like to come on, don't worry about your English. We, both of us, have been teaching in Japan long enough that we're used to interacting with non-native English speakers, people with relatively limited English speaking ability. So if you'd like to come on, you're more than welcome to. Of course, you're welcome to be the audience as well. So whatever makes you comfortable.
Don't forget that Dan and I barely speak English also.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Just barely, just enough to be able to claim that I'm teaching it, Yeah.
That's right. Hey, if you have a pulse and you have a little bit of brain activity, you can teach English in Japan.
That's right.
No. It's much better than that. Yeah, sure, of course. Right. I love teaching.
Yeah. So what else do you love? Are you a jealous type?
That's an interesting question. Liking things like motorcycles and loving music and such. When I was a kid, when someone would have something good happen to them with music, for example, I knew these musicians who got a record deal when we were all in our early 20s. Yeah. And of course, being a musician, you see that and you kind of get like, oh, why can't that happen to me too? Kind of type thing. Yeah. And people, wonderful motorcycles or this and that, but when you get, and that's a young thing, I think.
Mm-hmm.
When you get older, like I am now, I think I wouldn't even call it jealousy. Yeah. And of course, you have to extend the meaning to being jealous of someone, for example, flirting with your wife or your girlfriend, right?
So this distinction between jealousy and envy, maybe.
Yeah, okay, that could be a
Mhm.
good distinction. Yes, I think, sometimes it could be in the envy realm. Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, what do you mean by or what is meant by jealousy in this
Yeah, I think that's more,
question?
if someone who intervenes between uh, a person that is of major importance to you, and a third party comes between you in some way that diverts
Uh,
that person's attention away from you towards them. That kind of jealousy. Some good-looking guy flirting with your wife or something like that.
Yeah, I think I have had that
The-
as a kid, but then again, right? And the next part of your question, yes, I think I have used that to improve myself,
Mhm.
to not be so jealous and to let things,
I,
happen as they will.
mhm.
Oh, good night.
Okay. Yeah.
Let things happen as they will. Just because someone's talking to your wife doesn't mean they're flirting, and doesn't mean something's going to happen. You kind of have to trust. I think for me, I learned to trust, right? And if someone's talking to my wife, I'll just walk away, right? And what have you. I'll let them talk, yes.
Mhm.
My wife has always come back.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I think you need to trust a little bit. Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I think that I think you meant in a relationship, right? Yeah, I
Yes,
agree.
I see that. No, you're right. You
Yeah,
meant in a relationship.
and like you said, yeah. So jealousy almost implies that there's not sufficient trust in the relationship. I mean, if you
Right.
really trust that person, there's not the need for jealousy.
That's exactly right.
If you've established and developed that special relationship with that person, then you're not going to be jealous of other people that come in, because one, you trust, and two, that and no short amount of time are they going to be able to develop the type of relationship that you have with that special person, right? So trust is
Mhm.
is key, absolutely.
Trust is key, and it
Yeah.
teaches you how to get out of that
Right.
thinking, that jealous thinking. Yeah.
But still, yeah. Does it have value in driving humans to improve themselves? Yeah. So you see someone that gets on more or less instantly with someone who's important to you, that you've spent an amount of time developing a relationship with, and someone else comes in and seems to very quickly be able to build a rapport with that person. That might inspire you to to find out what it is that person has that allowed them to move that quickly, to develop that much of a relationship so quickly, to improve yourself on some level. So I see it as a good thing. Jealousy, when it does occur, it depends. The jealousy, there can be various levels of jealousy, I guess. So some jealousy might be good, and overabundance, too strong of reactive type of jealousy could be a very damaging and bad thing, right?
Yes, definitely,
So to add,
definitely. Go ahead, Abyss. Sorry.
sorry. Okay. So to add to this conversation, I think I've seen this study before. Probably need to cite, or at least I get the reference of that, but it appears that even toddlers actually experience jealousy. So the jealousy is somewhat sort of like a more basier, or at least like a somehow like a primitive response to being deprived of attention. So if you consider that to be response, and I think I would posit that um, avoiding jealousy is actually a very, a learned and a well thought out response. So I guess like it's important to uh, try to stay composed and analyze everything from every angle before acting upon it, with certain amount of jealousy and distrust. So yeah, I mean, I see that to be sort of like a learned experience, to have the moderation not to act on your pure impulses. But uh do I feel like jealousy is kind of warranted? um for me, I try to avoid jealousy as much as possible. I mean, it's impossible to completely abdicate that, because I'm human after all. But for me, at least like from my personal experience, I try to at least like factor in as many things as I can, and try to make a decision um, based on those factors, instead of like acting purely on my impulses. And that also includes like romantic rapports, if it must. So I guess like for me, I think having a measured response is a better way to act upon things, because jealousy is more primal, like I said, and it's inextricable from our humanity, because like I said, babies, even animals like dogs actually experience jealousy too. So yeah, I just wanted to put it out there.
Good point. Very, very good point. Yeah, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I some of the of our most primal emotions, that are there uh, for good reason. Biologically speaking, the evolutionarily speaking, and so on. Yeah, they're there. They developed with a purpose, right? But yeah, that doesn't mean that they should rule us. Jeff, did you know that you're muted?
Yeah, I
Okay.
knew. I was
Okay.
coughing. Sorry
Oh,
there.
okay. No worries. No worries. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, jealousy can, yeah, like I like the question. Yeah. Can it have value? I think that it can have value, taken in, the proper portion.
Hmm.
But excessive jealousy is anything that's in excess is probably going to be detrimental. So it can definitely be a negative emotion as well. So yeah.
Hmm.
Good.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, nice.
Okay. What about the last question?
Hmm.
Is a life that focuses on avoiding pain and seeking out pleasure a good and worthwhile life? Why or why not?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. First of all, what do we mean by pain? Physical pain, mental struggle, some strife in your life, right?
I
Um,
think, yeah, both of those could be
both of
labeled
those.
as pain. Sure.
I don't think it's worthwhile. I think, living a worthwhile life, you have to accept everything and go through everything. Yes. Uh-huh. Even painful episodes, painful times, sure, because it can teach you again what it's like to be human. Yeah. Right, and to teach you how to move on. Yes, through these things, I think.
Mhm.
What about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the question is not, to have a life without pain, but to avoid it. And so therefore, if we're in a situation that would generate pain, be it emotional or physical, and then us adapting and moving to overcome that situation, to avoid that situation, yeah, I think that that's fine. I mean, we're still learning from it. You don't have to, for example, the fire. You don't have to burn yourself in order to learn that you don't want to do that, right?
The
So
next time, yeah,
you,
sure,
you can
sure.
actually completely avoid. You could never be burnt. I mean, you can feel the heat and know that, okay, if I exceed that, it's going to be pain. Right now it's warm, but if I get closer, it's going to be pain. That's not what I want, and so I just never experience that pain. I mean, yeah, that's possible. I think that, to me, I think that can be just as valuable. I think that a life that focuses on avoiding pain and seeking out pleasure is good and worthwhile? Certainly, if that's what the person wants. Again, this is a subjective thing. So
Sure.
if that's what a person wants to do with their life, the challenges that they face are measured so that they're not going to be, at least to their mind, excessively uncomfortable. Yeah, why not?
Well, sure. I think if you're talking about that situation where you can, if you're coming upon something that will make you feel pain, physical pain, and you can avoid it, absolutely, sure. Sometimes it's unavoidable, perhaps, right? Pain, whether it's mental pain or emotional pain. Sometimes and sometimes you can't foresee it. Maybe it wouldn't be right in front of you. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to avoid. How about situations like that?
Well, yeah, it's hard to avoid, but we're talking about living a life where that's like one of your major motivations is to avoid those painful situations, right? I mean, yeah,
But if you can't, though,
you're not always going to be successful. We're not talking about whether you're successfully maneuvering that tricky path down through life with and never encountering pain, but to live a life that is at least partially motivated by not experiencing what to your mind
sure.
would be an excessive amount of discomfort, pain, be it physical or emotional. Sure, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable thing.
Yeah, and you can learn how to get through that or negotiate going through that situation. Sure, in order to find.
And then there are people. I mean, the really amazing. I mean, some of the people that are the most respected in the world have gone through anguish on various types on various levels in order to achieve the great things that they do. I mean, be it a musician who has spent hours practicing, which to a certain extent, I mean, you develop as a guitar player, calluses on your fingers, from the hours of practicing and so on. The people that are really great, I mean, that's pain and discomfort, with a goal in mind, or the athletes who train and suffer, the muscle pain and so on, but they have a goal that they need to achieve, right? So someone whose ultimate goal is to avoid pain would probably never be the ultimate athlete, because some pain is going to be involved in
Right, exactly.
That's
that kind of pain can't be avoided.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So
Exactly.
in that case, yeah, it's
It can't be avoided. It can't be avoided if the ultimate goal is to reach the pinnacle of physical performance in whatever that endeavor is, that sport is, and so on.
Right. Well, no pain, no gain, as
Right.
they say.
Exactly.
Or a novelist who continues to write manuscripts that continually get rejected. Right. That's kind of painful.
No, it is
You know,
emotional
it's
pain.
painful, right? Emotionally, sure.
Absolutely.
You try to.
Yeah,
I think it's
so
your
I guess the
perception
question.
too. Dozo Abyss.
Oops.
Oh, sorry, I mean, please, Abyss.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I guess my question to you both is that how do you distinguish between seeking pleasure and hedonistic pursuit? So if you're constantly engaged in hedonistic uh, practices, I guess like you're trying to maximize pleasure, but at the same time, it's we know like the downside or the effects of hedonism, and I think uh, the most cited example is the ancient Romans, at least like the ones which were in leadership that used to binge eat and gorge themselves, and so that they can just go into the vomitarium and spew everything out. And I mean, like they were just trying to maximize pleasure at every corner, but that became like a very detrimental thing. So I believe pain itself is actually a package deal to life. So what life is trying to do is just maximize its pleasure, but pain is always going to be there, whether you scrape your knees or you have an emotional trauma that would linger for years. Pain is going to be there, and I think like the reason why that part of like one of the things that makes you feel alive perhaps is the pain itself, because especially like if it's an emotional or self like internal pain, if pain, if not self-inflicted, but if it's a, like for example, mental anguish, um that uh, I wouldn't call it like, a comfortable way of living, but it just keeps on reminding you that, you're not a stoic person. You're at least like someone who can internalize despair in a way. And I think like there is some liveliness in that, even though like I wouldn't call that to be the emotion of feeling alive, because it most of the time, like, feeling alive and the thrill of exhilaration is associated with pleasure. But the fact that you were going through despair and some kind of pain, I think it's worth accounting for. I guess like so to go back to my question is like, how do you make a distinguish? I mean, like, how do you distinguish between hedonistic values and maximizing pleasure?
I like how you brought in the hedonistic aspect, because yeah, sure, maybe a life that's just for that reason, right? Hedonistic, complete pleasure all the time. Yeah. And then I like how you also brought that into the first question. You worked that quite well, where you said that a little bit of pain can make us feel alive. Yeah. So I agree with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get, yeah. So, I mean, again, focusing on exactly what's written in the question here is a life that focuses on avoiding pain and seeking out pleasure. Now, that doesn't mean that, to focus on something doesn't mean that everything else is completely excluded, right? I mean, you can focus on something and still deal with other things that come up, right? Even if that is your focus, I mean, it doesn't mean that that is absolutely 100%
Everything.
your life, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so, again, the Roman Empire and the excessive eating and the regurgitation and so on to consume more and so on. I mean, that's excessive from our standpoint. But if who am I to judge if that's what those people wanted to do? And I think it was probably just the societal pressures, people, in a group doing things that they wouldn't as individuals, right? They see everybody around, you see everybody around you doing something, and then you kind of, exceed, the other people and so on until it builds into a ridiculous situation, and so on. But again, if that's what they want to do, why isn't that a fulfilling life? If that's fulfilling for them, then it's fulfilling, right?
Yeah, Abyss also, asked, how do you distinguish between the hedonistic approach and just one that's avoiding pain?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't know what the definition
or
of
are they one and the same?
is. I mean, what is the definition of hedonism? I mean, I'd have to look it up. I mean, I understand hedonism as again, the focus on pleasure and avoiding pain and so on. But to what extent? I mean, if it is, is it necessarily the I mean, beyond the focus, but is it, the all-consuming idea behind your very existence? Is that what it takes to be considered a hedonist? In which case, I think there are very few of those type of people that exist or that ever existed. I mean, everybody has other or most people have other considerations too. So to what extent? Again, it's all like it's on a spectrum. I mean, to a certain, I mean, on the hedonist spectrum, I'm somewhere on that spectrum. I don't know where.
Well, here's something for you. I just looked it up. Actually, Wikipedia, which isn't maybe the best source, but axiological hedonism, which is sometimes treated as part of ethical hedonism, is the thesis that only pleasure has intrinsic value.
Only pleasure has intrinsic value. I don't even know what that means. For something to have value. Value again is a subjective thing, So, so it's there is no. I don't believe in any objective value. So yeah, so that person believes that pleasure is the only thing that has that has value. Okay, I mean that's up to them. If that's so sure, why not? Why not? I'm fine with that. I mean, again, as long as they don't step on my toes, that as long as their seeking pleasure doesn't, prevent me from living, the type of life that I want to live, as long as it avoids conflict, yeah, why not? Kim Chi, welcome. Thank you. Just subscribed. Kim Weinberg, thank you. Kim Chi.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I guess I would like to add the biological basis for the no pain no gain mantra. So what's happening in our bodies that when especially when you're trying to be a pro athlete, you're basically breaking down your body. Like I mean, the bones will start to remodel. So it's officially, I mean, it's called remodeling because your bone go through different restructuring. The bone densities increase, the muscles will tear and start rebuilding. So in a way, like you're basically smashing yourself into bits and recombining to become an entirely different person, which is more resilient than the previous version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to point that out, like that the pain associated with that is your body's going through a very serious reconstruction process,
Mm-hmm.
and that will take a toll on your body.
Mm.
In fact, like I don't know if you guys heard about this, but marathon runners essentially recruit more muscle tissue as they're running along. So you have your nerves which are being connected to your muscles that tell the muscles how to move, right? So what happens is that the muscles would actually change structure, and they will have like more innervation, which is to mean that they will be inundated with more neurons, or at least will react fastly to the input of the neuron as the runner is running. So you're talking about a profound physiological change in just like 2 to 3 hours
Mm-hmm.
of that person, putting themselves in a very strenuous exercise. So, so yeah, I mean, I just wanted to put that out. Like, the whole rebuilding process is rife with pain, and rightfully so, because you're basically breaking down yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mhm.
good point. Good point. Yeah.
And they have goals, at the other end also. So it keeps them going towards that goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even through the pain.
That's also true.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. But we see the benefits. I mean, we see the changes, the physical changes, that exercise brings to our bodies. Yeah. And yeah, even, I mean, arguably, at least the majority of exercise that's beneficial to us does involve some breaking down, be it, whatever, type of exercise it is. There's some breaking down and rebuilding and so on. And, but then again, I am open to the possibility that there are people that just okay, yeah, if I exercise, if I do that, if I go through those strenuous routines and so on, if I go through that discomfort, the result will be a more robust physical body that I have. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I want to do that or that I should do that. Again, that's individual assessment as to what they want from their life. I mean, yeah, you'll live. We could argue you'll live longer. You'll live a less restricted life. Physically. You'll live have a better quality of life if your body is in better condition. You enjoy a better quality of life from our perspective. From my perspective, that would be the case. But again, that's one person's opinion, or that's a huge number of people's opinion, but that again doesn't make it true. It's just a large group of people's opinion about that.
Well, there's also like a pleasure maximizing effect of exercising as well, right? Because you're basically, uh, I mean, your body will be surging with endorphins.
Mhm.
Like you're constantly supplied with endorphins, and that has sort of a numbing effect. So if you have muscle pain, joint pain, everything would be um, kind of removed. So endorphins are natural analgesic. So those are pain suppressants. So in a way that exercising would give you like that sort of pleasure. I don't know if you guys heard about runners and like runner's high.
Hmm.
So that's like when technically long distance runners seem to have pleasure in their exercise, like in the way they run, or
Mhm.
like if even if like the exercise itself is very strenuous, that it gives them pleasure. So I guess like coming full circle to the previous discussion, is like those pro athletes, even though they may not be doing that for the fame and accolade and for achievement, they at least they'll do that for as kind of a pursuit of pleasure and thrill seeking. So it's equivalent to like skydiving and base jumping, at least in my
Mhm.
opinion, and that's
Yeah.
what it seems like.
My sister's a runner, and she always talked about runner's high. Yeah. So you're absolutely right.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. What a great group of discussions this morning
Yeah, it has been.
or
Yeah.
this evening, wherever you happen to be.
Yeah. Going back to our discussion about jealousy, did you see Coco's comment? Although many people like to be shown jealousy, I think it has to do with insecurity and lack of attention, which is not something we dealt with. We talked about directly, I don't think. We talked about trust and so on. But yeah, trust. And so, I mean, maybe that's kind of the other side of the insecurity coin there. That
Mhm.
if you are secure, then you have, the ability to be more trusting. And if you're insecure, then you lack that to a certain extent. You lack the ability to trust, or you're unable to trust to a certain
That's
extent.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. So in that case, it can help you grow that, perhaps, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Learning how to trust, learning how to just walk away. Yes.
I'm still listening.
and
I'm
come
cooking.
back.
Okay. Oh, what are you cooking? Something delicious?
Right.
Yeah. I'll be right over.
Yeah.
It's lunchtime here. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah. I was just going to say it's lunchtime. Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, all these questions. Yeah. So a life that that focuses on avoiding pain and seeking out pleasure. Again, I think that is the standard operating procedure. Oh, chicken salad sounds good.
Chicken
I think
salad,
that is,
yes.
the human standard operating procedure. We avoid pain and seek out pleasure, and you focus on that. But again, that's a word that if you focus on it, does that mean that that because of that, due to that focus, you are oblivious to anything else? I didn't interpret the question that way. I mean, focus is like that's your main goal, but that doesn't mean that you don't do anything else along the way, type of thing. So so in that case, talking about the people, the pro athletes, maybe I misspoke actually. So those pro athletes are not avoiding pain, are not seeking out pain or doing things that are bringing pain, but they are actually seeking that pleasure, that runner's high, and they recognize the fact that there is a transitional period where they're going to feel discomfort, but the end goal is that pleasure. And so again, they're seeking pleasure, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I think, like I said, to me, that's what everybody does all the time. We're always avoiding pain and seeking pleasure I mean, that's basically our focus in life, isn't it? Be that physical, emotional, or whatever. We develop relationships because of the pleasure that gives us, and we avoid those bad relationships, or break off from the bad relationships that are causing us emotional pain and so on. I mean, yeah, that's how we operate, right? Isn't that evolutionary theory there. You know that, I mean, that's how things work. Avoid pain, seek pleasure. Makes sense.
Yep. Don't burn your hands. Stay away from the wild animals, and yep, move forward.
Yeah.
Good, great.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Shall we wrap it up for the for this
we
for the
can wrap
day?
it up. We can wrap it up. If there are any other questions, comments, things that are either related or even not related to what we've been talking about that people would like to ask, either in the comments or on microphone here, last chance to throw out ideas here. Anybody has something they'd like to contribute at the end? If not, then yeah, I think we had this is a great conversation. I mean, not taking anything away from you, Dr. Jeff, but yeah, it's really good to have a three-way conversation here to bring someone else's viewpoint in and
Totally.
additional perspective. Very
And
much appreciated.
a few more people would be great too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Regardless of their English level.
Right.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
Okay. All right, great. So we'll wrap it up here. Thank you again. Thank you, Abyss. Thank you, Coco. And
Yep. Thank
JB,
you,
I
Abyss.
think, has already said goodbye, but thank you.
Thank you,
For
Coco.
everyone. Thank you for,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you, Coco, for the Super Heart Award. If I didn't mention that before, I do appreciate that. And look for us again, same time next week, next Wednesday, 11 o'clock our time. So that's like maybe 7 o'clock Eastern time, I think. 10 o'clock, or no,
10 o'clock Eastern. Yeah. 7 o'clock right, Pacific, isn't
California, Pacific time. That's right.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Right.
moved to my coast. I don't know. Been so
Thank
long.
you.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
Yep. Thank you, Coco, and
Right.
see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yep.